Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duck Bricks. I'm Chris, and here we have my October 1st LEGO haul. Now this is pretty much almost every single LEGO set I was personally interested in getting that released on October 1st, save for a few major exceptions. You may notice that most of the new LEGO City Stuntz line is not here. This is because that here in North America, there's been a cardboard shortage affecting LEGO production facilities, which means that there's not enough packaging to go around and many of the new sets have been delayed. Also affected by this delay, we're not sure if it's because of the cardboard shortage or just because LEGO is doing some funky stuff with the video line, but the Video Series 2 bandmates, which are their blind box minifigures, were supposed to also release on October 1st here in the US. They were released pretty much everywhere else in the world except for here, and we still don't know if or when we will be getting these. So definitely stay tuned for that. I certainly am staying tuned myself, but besides those, this is almost every single new set. From the newest LEGO Marvel Eternals line for the new movie coming out in November, all the way to the new Spider-Man No Way Home sets, which actually feature some throwbacks to some of the older MCU Spider-Man movies. We even got some Infinity Saga sets from Marvel, some new LEGO 18 Plus sets like the Ideas Stratocaster. We've got a pickup truck in both the Creator Expert or 18 Plus line, as well as one of the pickup trucks for LEGO Technic. A new LEGO Batman tumbler, which is actually tying in to the sort of remake or re-release of the original UCS scale tumbler, which is coming out in a month. We also have some more Batman busts, some other random additional stuff here and there, and for the Bionicle fans in the audience, there actually is one set among these that includes a direct reference to a LEGO Bionicle icon directly on a minifigure torso. So stay tuned when we take a closer look at these sets to find out exactly which one. And so without further ado, let's just dive right in here and take a look at all of these sets. You'll notice I have built some of them, but not all of them, so we'll just take a look at them as they come. Alright, so here we are with the fully completed contents of my current October 1st haul. We have a ton of really awesome stuff here, a little dominated by LEGO Marvel, of course, because there are two major MCU movies coming out, but there's a pretty good selection, some Batman stuff, Christmas stuff, and some other stuff scattered all the way around, mostly in the 18 plus adults welcome line. In fact, a ton of the sets here are supposed to be for the 18 plus line, from the pickup truck to the Technic pickup truck to the Super Mario block, the guitar, as well as the Queer Eye apartment set. There are a ton of different things here, and let's just take a look and get started. All right, so moving along here for the October 1st, 2021 releases, there's a pretty wide arrangement of things. In the center here, we have the Rise of the Domo. This is the new starship for LEGO Marvel's Eternals. You can see I've placed all of the new Eternals figures here. There's quite a few of them, and what's really awesome is that each one of them has leg printing, except for the one with short legs, but they have full torso printing, full leg printing, and for some of them, unique faces as well. Even some of them have unique molds, like Gilgamesh here with a new variant on the fist element. So a lot of really interestingly detailed figures. This is probably one of my most hyped MCU movies, so I definitely had to make sure to collect all the sets. Now the demo itself can be fully opened up. Let's actually move all the figures off of here for now and take a look at exactly how this opens up inside. So you can see here we've got a cockpits chamber here, and what's really nice is that these sets come with duplicate figures, so you can still be able to get them in different sets. Now this whole thing opens up as well, which reveals a very intricate structure back inside there. It's a really cool, ornate, and mystical looking structure made out of different LEGO parts like the circular stuff, a new recolor of this golden element right here. So that's really nice to get in that pearl gold color. And of course, as you move around, you can actually see a miniature statue of Arishem, which is the Celestial, which we can see all the way in the back there looking down. He's just in a mini version here, which we can actually see in some of the trailers. Now there are actually a few extra things packed away in here as we open this up. One of my favorite features is actually this little spaceship right here, very reminiscent to original LEGO Star Wars or even classic space sets where they had just some sort of tiny little flyer associated with a larger ship that could be deployed. I am almost certain this will not appear in the movie, but it's really cool that LEGO kind of included it because it feels like a callback to some of their older products. Now, of course, all of this stuff here does fully open up, and we can see some weapons racks and whatnot inside, even a coffee machine. So this is actually really well detailed, and you can get a lot of play space out of this area. Let me just close this back up here so we can get all the other ones out of the way. And moving on to some of the other Eternal sets, the Rise of the Domo set actually did include a couple of deviants. These are the main villains for the movie. We've got the main villain Crow right here, although maybe he's not just the one main villain. We'll have to wait and see for the movie to come out. And of course, it does actually come with a bestial-like four-legged deviant as well. And these other ones are from some of the other sets. This one came in the Arsham set, and these other two are actually sets of their own. One thing I really love about these figures in particular is the special opaque / speckled color of their wings. They look really interesting, really cool, and actually pretty accurate compared to the trailer itself. Now, Arasham itself is almost like building what a Bionicle would be in today's day and age. Sure, it's closer to a Lego system mech, but I am pretty happy with how this turned out. Even has a light function in the center of his chest here, and you can actually fully articulate everything. So you've got the arms up there, the hands, he's got pretty articulated ball joints and everything, and as he rises up, you can see some more of these specially colored opalescent pieces that are actually a satin color that Lego produced starting around last year, but they've been using it a lot more and more frequently, which is really nice to see because those pieces are fantastic. Now moving on to some of the other Lego Marvel sets, we have the new sets for Spider-Man No Way Home. We can go over here to take a look at our first set here. This is the Spider-Man in the Sanctum Workshop set. It includes a ton of fun little details all around for Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum, also featuring that new golden compass element, which is nice to get as a recolor. But most importantly, the figures included in the set include a new version of Doctor Strange with a fully molded Lego cape. This is the first time we've gotten the cape in this style. It's not the first rubberized cape. In fact, that honor goes to the 1989 Batman, but this is a fantastic element. And what's really cool is that without having to remove his head, you can actually remove the cape like so, almost as if it wraps around him. The cape can fly to someone else, and you can just kind of pop it back around his neck. So, zooming in here, you can just kind of push the cape on, and there you go. The cape is back on the minifigure, which is a fantastic little detail. I really love this particular element. I wasn't 100% sold on it when images first came out, but I am very happy with how it turned out. Of course, also included with him is his friend, the Sorcerer Wong right here, featuring a new outfit for Spider-Man No Way Home. And we also get a new outfit for Spider-Man himself. This is apparently the outfit that he will be wearing throughout the movie, so it is cool to see at least one of the figures be directly related to that actual movie, especially because this is, again, the only set that actually features scenes from Spider-Man No Way Home. Presumably because Lego did not want to spoil, or Marvel did not allow Lego to spoil the movie, they only were allowed to make this one set featuring Doctor Strange and Wong, who we already knew were going to be in the movie, a new variant of MJ, as well as Spider-Man's new suit. But everything else is based or inspired off of older movies. And let's take a look at those right now. So first off here we have Spider-Man's drone duel, and you may be wondering why is this black and gold? Well, that's because the new Spider-Man minifigure, we actually saw a glimpse of this in the No Way Home trailer, is also black and gold. I'm gonna zoom in here so we can get some extra nice looks, but it's really cool how this has arm printing in a standard retail line set, just something a little extra special for all the fans to see here. Now, while this minifigure is directly from the No Way Home movie, the rest of them are not. For instance, we have the Vulture here, and the Vulture is based off of the Spider-Man Homecoming version, just an updated version where Lego felt they could do a little bit better than the concept art-based minifigure they did before. And the drone is probably not going to appear in the movie, or at least I'd be very surprised if it does. It just seems like something to go alongside this new minifigure of Spider-Man. And finally, moving on, there is just one little 4+ set. You can see one of Mysterio's drones here, Nick Fury's car in the back, nothing too crazy going on, and of course Nick Fury himself. The star of the show, however, is a new version of Mysterio, which actually is fully accurate to the Spider-Man Far From Home design. He features a pearl gold chest plate, whereas the previous version was based off of concept art and did not have this accurate color. And most importantly of all, the set also includes a figure a lot of people have been waiting for, the black and red Bosco suit from Spider-Man Far From Home. This is really awesome to get, especially because it was one of the main suits he used in the movie, and we never actually got it in minifigure form. This does come with fully dual molded legs, extra special printing on the back and side, so it's really awesome to see this figure finally be realized in LEGO form, especially after we missed out on getting him when the first Far From Home sets came out. Now there is actually one more MCU themed set. This is from the Infinity Saga line of sets, specifically for Avengers Endgame, although this particular ship appeared in many other movies like Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor Ragnarok and whatnot. This actually includes a few new minifigures. First of all, we get a new version of Captain Marvel, which is actually based off of the Endgame final battle scene. We have not gotten this minifigure previously, so it's really nice to get a new version of this to fit with that scene. And we also get an MCU minifigure version of Thanos. Previously, the minifig versions we've gotten have been comic-based, so it's really nice to see this in full minifigure form in case you want to play at that scale. And finally, this is not a new figure, but we also get an Iron Man figure, the final Iron Man suit, which also features the fist piece in pearl gold, which represents the Infinity Gauntlet. I guess Thanos should have that one, but I just figured it could pass as the Nano Gauntlet if you wanted it to, so I gave it to Iron Man. The ship itself is a pretty fun build. I'm actually pretty happy with how this turned out. It's like a micro-scale version of the actual craft, but it turned out fairly well, and I'm pretty happy with the shaping. Now, as you move this around, you can see that there's actually a few things in the back here that you can play around with. You've got some back hatches, so you can store minifigures inside this space. Nothing too much going on in there. If I make this a little bit brighter, you can kind of see inside, but it's not really too much, just kind of an empty space, but it's nice to see. And then rotating this all the way around, you can actually see that there is a full cockpit here, which can be opened up, and there is a small seat with controls for Thanos to sit in it himself. So all in all, a nice ship. A lot of people have been asking for this particular ship because it basically was Thanos' main ship in the movie, and it's nice to finally get it as a LEGO set, albeit a pretty small one. But now let's move away all of the Marvel stuff so we can move on to our next topic. Before we move completely away from superheroes, there's a couple of sets I want to discuss, specifically two Batman-themed sets from very different properties. First off is the classic Batman TV series cowl. This one is a pretty unique build because you can fully separate it from the holder here. The stand is not attached to the cowl like many of the other cowl sets, but it basically is just another one of the standard helmet line stuff. We did already get a Batman themed cowl, but that one was more of a comics-based one. This is specifically for the classic TV series, so it's very different. Moving on, though, we have the other Batman set, which is based off of The Dark Knight Rises, the Nolan trilogy of Batman films. This is a miniature version of the tumbler, which is directly made to kind of go off of the large UCS scale tumbler, which is releasing in November. Now, this is a pretty fantastic build. It's very compact, and I actually was very impressed by how it went together. It does include two exclusive new minifigures, a new version of Scarecrow from that movie, which is pretty good, I will say. Could have used a molded head, but I'm pretty happy with what we got. And we also get a Dark Knight version of Batman. Specifically, he has a special head that you can swap out for the Nightmare Batman scene, a very short scene in the movie that was a pretty cool one to see, but I never expected we would actually get this in minifigure form, so it's really cool to see this variant of Batman being used. The tumbler itself is actually probably my favorite minifigure scale tumblers out there. There haven't been that many, there's really only been two, but the first one we got was fairly decent from the original Batman line. The second one was honestly not too great. It was a Bane themed tumbler, and this one is really cool. I'm actually really happy with this set. It's definitely the best minifigure version of the set that they could do, and it just feels very compact. Everything comes together really well, and for such a small set, there's pretty good shaping around it as well. Different clips here, fanning towards and building towards each other at angles, even a full cockpit inside. So all in all, this is probably one of my favorite Batman sets in recent memory, and I definitely recommend picking it up at the $40 price point. Moving away from superheroes though, let's now clear off some more stuff and take a look at what's next. In a bit of an odd release that was not actually a GWP, this is a full set that you can purchase for $35, we got a mini version of the Disney Castle. The reason this came out is because it's the anniversary of the Disney Castle, so LEGO wanted to do something special to commemorate it. It comes with an exclusive Mickey Mouse minifigure with a red instead of yellow bow tie, which is pretty interesting because he's never actually appeared with this red bow tie to my knowledge. He usually is supposed to wear the yellow one, especially when associated with the Disney Castle, so it is a bit of a strange choice, but maybe they wanted to keep something unique in the larger set. You actually get a pretty detailed interior on the inside with some printed pieces, almost impossible to see here, but it is nice to see when you're actually building the set, you can see what goes on inside. But of course, the main set itself is this large castle. Again, they're using that opalescent and satin effect on the blue pieces here, which look absolutely fantastic. I already ordered a ton of these off of Bricks and Pieces for my own uses, like spaceship engines and whatnot, because they just look really great. And all in all, this is a very well detailed micro scale castle. Even turning it around, it is fully detailed from the back side as well. You can see all sorts of hidden details going all the way up to the top of the castle. So this is a very fantastic build, very nice one. Was it worth $35? I don't necessarily know. There's a lot more things that you could get today for $35, but if you're a fan of Disney or like the Disney Castle, this is a great collector's model to display on your desk and almost feels like it could have come from the 18+ line if it wasn't so cheap. Now finally, there are a couple of Christmas-themed LEGO items. One of the most anticipated sets of the season was the Santa Sleigh set. This is a really nice rendition of Santa's sleigh. We've never actually gotten one in minifigure scale before, and most importantly of all, it includes 4 different reindeer, which is a really great way to get this particular animal. Now you could have ordered them off of Bricks and Pieces for around $5 each, which is a pretty good price, I will say, but getting 4 of them in one set that costs around $38 or so is a really cool deal. Santa himself has dual molded legs, which were introduced in the Winter Village set, which was actually released a little bit earlier than October 1st, and his back is full of presents as well. So this is a just really charming set, really nice to get a Santa sleigh set from LEGO, feels long overdue, so I'm very happy with how this turned out, especially for the price. We also have a little seasonal display here with a penguin on an iceberg. It's just a cute little model. They released some of these for all different seasons, so it's nice to get. And finally, they have some ornament sets. They've been making these for a while this year for seasonal stuff, and they're just cute little ornaments with some special printed eyes, just some nice details all around, and with string that you can actually use to hang them as ornaments themselves. Now, one of my favorite new sub-themes to come out of LEGO City is this new Stuntz line. Now again, just a disclaimer, this is far from the full collection of LEGO City Stuntz. Again, LEGO has a cardboard shortage in North America, so a ton of these just didn't get released. I will be picking them up as soon as I can actually find them in stores, but this is just a few of them and a good enough collection to kind of give you the idea of what these sets are all about. Now with these, LEGO introduced a new flywheel system. Now, these are not like Chima Speedords where you actually have to pull a ripcord, because these actually move all on their own. So let's start off with this one because this is probably one of my favorites. It would have been my favorite except for one other detail, which we're getting to, but this is basically the Rocket Racer minifigure from the original LEGO Racers game. I don't know if people here remember that game, but that was one of my personal favorite games growing up. Seeing Rocket Racer in full minifigure form in 2021 is kind of a sight to behold. So really cool to see this icon of LEGO appear in final minifigure form. We did get a collectible minifigure version of him, but it wasn't as close to the original game as this one is. But what's cool about these sets is that they have this flywheel in the back. So you can really get it going and it'll just shoot off. If you really kind of have him rolling, they will really just fly out there, go really fast. You can actually get it to travel very far. And what's really great about these flywheel sets is that you can also have them move fairly slowly and they still kind of retain their motion. Like you can take a look at this one right here. I'm just gonna slowly move him here and he'll just keep going. The wheel will just keep turning, but of course you can make it go really fast and have them shoot all the way off the table like so. They're just really fun to play with. I love the unique characters introduced for the Stuntz line, and of course they actually have stunt ramps and hoops and obstacles that they can go off of as well. So let's say, for example, I want to clear this jump here. Let's try to set this up. There's a ton of different bikes and a ton of different characters to go with those bikes, but one very special detail I didn't notice until long after I had built it is, if you look closely at this one right here, the wheelie stunt bike, there's the Bionicle 3 Virtues logo on the back of the torso. That is a Bionicle reference in 2021 on the back, printed, not a sticker, fully printed on a minifig torso. That is so cool to see. Thank you, whoever Lego graphics designer who put that in. That's really nice. I'm very, very happy about that. That is such a cool reference to see. I literally was turning this figure around in my hand and just did a double take when I saw the 3 Virtues logo. That's just a really nice callback to Bionicle, especially given that this year is Bionicle's anniversary. So thank you, whoever put that reference in. Now, the actual larger stunt sets do have some fun little gimmicks to them that you can move around. This one, for example, has you go bikes up the ramp and hit the targets like so. And of course, this actually does come with a recolor of the dual molded Piranha first introduced for LEGO City as well for the diving sub-theme, except this time they are in black and white, which is a pretty interesting one to get. All in all, the Stuntz theme is just one that's really fun to play with, surprisingly works very, very well, and I'm just very happy with how these sets all turned out. I would definitely recommend it, especially if you're a fan of some of the classic LEGO stuff. There's a lot of references packed into these, especially with this one. So I would recommend just checking them out. They're only around $8 for the minifigure and the motorcycle, which is pretty fair given the amount of play you can get out of these. So I actually held off on finishing this video until I could actually get the other sets in the mail. Thankfully, the other large-scale city stunt sets have arrived, featuring these large-scale monster trucks, a few more motorcycles that fully work, as you can see, and a whole host of other things that we can include here. This is all sorts of really fun. I wanted to take this opportunity to showcase just how good these work, just by showing how well these fly off of the ramp and do good jumps. These actually are really well-made toys, and there's a surprisingly amount of good engineering that goes into this that actually made me really impressed. They're a lot more fun to play with than a lot of the other gimmick sets in the past, such as, say, Speedors or something like that, because you don't actually need to use a ripcord to play with them. You just need to set them up, fold them forwards a few times, and voila, they are good to go. So one thing I really like about these is that they actually include different modular components to work with each other. Let me set aside some of these other random stuff that you can't really interact with the motorcycles with and just focus on the main things that you can play with. Obviously, as you can see, I could fold these ramps in and out, but first of all, let me just set up one course right here. You'll notice that this course right here that I have, this smaller set, is made that you can set up a ton of stuff to knock over. From a spider to pieces of a wall to orange cones and whatnot, there's just all sorts of fun things that you can do here while playing with this particular set. Once we reset this whole structure here, you can see that it has all sorts of things that can be toppled over, including the large-scale fire piece. But now let's move on and take a look at the larger set. This is a $100 set that came with the monster trucks and some other stuff to crush, but of course the main attraction is this Wheel of Doom here with some rockets that can spin around. A very fun setup to see if you can actually get your bikes through the hoop here. So I'm going to set up the ramp on the back here as well. They have kind of an exit ramp going on the back. I haven't had much success with that working. It usually just flies right through the hole, but we can try it out. So I'm going to go on this side right here, see if we can set up our motorcycle to go. And there you go. It went right through the hole. Now for a bit of added extra challenge, you can spin around the rockets on the top here to see if you can actually make it through the hole. And this time it did not. Let's try this one more time and see exactly how well this works. So setting up the spinning right here. This is a really fun set to play with. And voila, you can see right there it hit one of the rockets. Let's see if we can make it through. So it's a pretty fun challenge. It can actually give a good amount of playtime for especially kids who actually want to play around with stuff like this. The motorcycles are really fun, even to me as an adult fan of LEGO, just really satisfying to push and watch them move along at very high speeds, because these will really get going. So now let's reset everything and kind of take a look in summary at some of these larger LEGO City Stunt sets. As I mentioned before, one thing that I really love about these Stuntz sets is that they are actually fully modular. So this set right here is just one of these smaller $30 to $40 sets. You can actually move around basically all the components of this. They have uses of the city road plate pieces. These are the new road plates that were introduced, and you can set up the course in different arrangements to see how different things you can do. So setting everything aside, you can see I've come up with one such arrangement here, just a jump over fire. Let's see if we can clear the fire with that one here. And let's do a slightly smaller jump here, and there you can see I hit the fire. So all sorts of different fun things you can do. This is all, again, just really based off of the one set, which is really nice because it's really fun to be able to play around with and actually create your own combination of stunts. Of course, if you do own every single set, it makes it even more fun to set up long-range courses, and honestly, this really reminds me of some of the stuff that LEGO Racers was doing back around the 2002 to 2003 era. Very experimental types of play, but something that works out really well and actually is a very fun toy. Here you can see I've set up another course right here where you have to knock over the spider on the top featuring the dual ramp. Missed it that time, missed it the other time, and let's just try this one more time, see if we can hit the spider over like so. And as you can see, the bikes just work very well and move along the side. And lastly, here's that Ring of Fire set. We didn't really get a lot of running space on the other table, so I just wanted to demonstrate it here just to see how well it works. Let's try to use Rocket Racer to go up the ramp a little bit faster this time, but you can see they make it through the hoop and clear the flames. What's really cool is that the flames almost kind of reset themselves even after being hit thanks to the way this is set up. So even though I actually have multiple different motorcycles that are going through them, the flames will bounce backwards and bounce back upwards for the motorcycles to pass through, almost like they're going directly through the wall of flames. It's a really fun feature, and obviously these are very simple builds. There's nothing too complicated going on with them. They're definitely not 18 plus sets or the most expert builds whatsoever, but they are really fun sets for kids to play with, and definitely things that I'd recommend, especially because the bikes themselves are only around $8. They're good impulse buys. Now looking at the other aspects of the sets, you have these monster trucks. To be honest, they're not nearly as fun as the motorcycles because you really can only just do this with them. You can crush the cars and whatnot, which is a fun play feature, but obviously the main attraction, in my opinion at least, is the fully working motorcycles. Would have been cool to actually get some sort of a motor in the monster trucks themselves, but I guess that would have probably raised the price. One final thing that I really like about these sets are the references. You can see the Sport or Sports logo right there is actually evoking the classic LEGO Sports logo that was used back when LEGO was doing this. And what's really cool is that they actually reference the original LEGO Sports and Extreme sets. Right there is the Extreme for, of course, LEGO Island. That was another stunt-focused LEGO sub-theme all the way back around 2002. So it's really cool to see that exact logo return. Much like the Bionicle reference, these particular sets are jam-packed with a ton of different references to older LEGO themes. Even taking a look at this Cybertruck here, which actually features some printed components on the sides. First of all, it includes a fantastic transparent yellow windscreen for the first time, but the font of the Cyber logo with the grid back there is actually a direct reference to some of the LEGO Technic or Cyber stuff they were doing in the 80s with that whole grid pattern to make it seem technological. So all in all, some great references for LEGO fans. Of course, how could you forget Rocket Racer himself? Probably the best reference out of all of these. But all in all, I would definitely give LEGO City Stunts a big 2 thumbs up. And finally, I have saved all of the 18 plus sets for last. These are some of the most refined LEGO models that you can see today. Some really fantastic builds all around. So let's just start here and move our way in. First off, we have the Creator Expert style pickup truck. This has full steering, which is actually controlled by the steering wheel inside the car, which is nice to see. Some nice dark red detailing, and I know that dark red does have a reputation for LEGO of not being the most consistent color, but it actually turned out fairly well for me. I'm actually pretty happy with how this one looks. In the back, you can actually see different accessories for different seasons, like a Christmas wreath here, even a nice build for a wheelbarrow inside here. So all sorts of just charming little things. And it does include a small little farmer's market with today's picks either being flowers or different fresh from the farm ingredients. So just a nice little charming set to add to the Creator Expert car line. Moving on, we have a new LEGO Ideas set. This is the Fender Stratocaster. It's a mini version of an actual guitar. It introduces a few new pieces, namely the strings that are in this length being used for the guitar itself. And what's really awesome is that this amp here is actually fully detailed. Now, I don't play a guitar, so I don't know too much about how they work, but I just really respected the amount of detail that went into the circuitry of this. You can actually see that they actually tried to replicate what a circuit board inside would look like, which is super cool. And even when you move it around the back, you can see that there's a lot of extra detail in here that's honestly just tucked away. In fact, I couldn't even showcase some of the detail because they have you build it and then cover it up. So would definitely recommend checking this out, at least for the building process. There's a lot of really interesting and intricate detail that eventually is just covered up by the panels here. So don't let this fool you. There's a lot of stuff hiding behind this one panel. The guitar itself is a pretty decent one. It actually comes with enough pieces to change the color from red to black. I don't necessarily know if that was the best use of pieces. I think most people will just choose red because it stands out against the black amp here, but it is nice to actually have some choices. I personally, though, just threw those pieces in my spare parts bin because they are pretty useful pieces. You get a lot of nice pieces in that. All in all, this is a pretty interesting Lego model. Definitely not something that I would have thought Lego would have made just a couple of years ago, but now it is perfect for 18+. Moving on back here, we have the Lego Super Mario question mark block here to celebrate Super Mario 64. What's really nice about this is that it has the kind of environments here that all fully fold out, so it's almost like a large pop-up book. Once I close these up here, you can actually rotate this inwards and the block just fully closes up. So almost like a real question mark block in game, you get all sorts of surprises hidden inside. And speaking of surprises, there's a secret level here. If you reveal Bowser by lifting this up, you can push him down here, kind of whack him down, and it reveals a stage for him and Mario to do battle on. So that's a cool, fun feature that this has. They did not advertise this whatsoever. They did not advertise that Bowser was in this or that there was a secret level until reviews came out and actually revealed it. Now, how well does the function work? I'd say it works pretty well. Just simply pushing on this block here actually reveals the hidden landscapes inside, and it does all fold out pretty nicely. You can see an ice-themed landscape, lava in here, some golfing or planes themed one as well as of course Peach's Castle. Now personally, I do not play any Mario games, so forgive me if I butchered some of those names. I just like how this set actually works and how the terrain actually works out. So I'm just pretty happy with this as a whole. Moving on, we have the new Ford Raptor set from Lego Technic. This is, again, one of Lego Technic's large-scale vehicles. It's not one of the largest ones, but it was around, I believe, $100, so it's a pretty good price, especially in the US. I know that the price is pretty abysmal in the UK and EU. I think it's around 150 pounds or euros or something ridiculous like that, but definitely if you get a chance to pick this up in the US, I would definitely recommend it. And what's really nice is that, again, like many Technic cars, this has a fully detailed engine. As you move stuff around, the pistons in the engine actually move, which is awesome to see. Of course, you have steering controlled by the top wheel here, unfortunately not connected to the steering wheel. It was a bit of a surprise to see that not connected, but you can still steer it from the top here. And all in all, this includes a ton of really great features. And as I turn this all around into the back like so, you can see that it actually is controlled by ball joints on the back here to actually load and unload the back cab here. So it's nice to see that ball joint element returning from CCBS. And of course, you can open and close the doors nicely as well. So open doors here, close them up, and this has full suspension. So getting onto the underside of this car, there's a lot of detail that goes into it. Fully suspended wheels like so on both sides, which is awesome to see. But now we can finally move on to our last set here. This is a very similar set to some of the sitcom styled sets Lego has done in the past. It is the Queer Eye apartment set. Now personally, I am not too familiar with the show, but it does introduce a ton of fantastic minifigure pieces, which is really all I care about. I'm so happy to see dual molded arms with side printing. That is a fantastic outfit. We've also got side printing on the arms here. Some of them even have dual molded legs. Like this one is a silver and black dual molded leg, which is really interesting to see with printing on the side. You just don't really see that every day. And all in all, the minifigures are really what make this set stand out. It's also a pretty nicely detailed set as well. A full kitchen in the back here, which is cool to see. It just feels like the world is very fleshed out here. Now, what's really interesting is that it includes a transformation chamber. Much like the Batman sets, you can spin this chamber around to transform one of the minifigures. Namely, they include two versions of the same figure here. We've got this one right here, And we've got, where's our other one? This one right here. So we've got after the transformation and before, so it's kind of cool to see that sort of feature in a non-superhero set. All in all, this is a pretty good set for what you pay for. It introduces the new silver-colored hairpiece as well that first appeared in the Everyone is Awesome set. So all in all, just a fantastic set if you like collecting minifigures and cool minifigure pieces. And all in all, a pretty nicely laid out apartment-style build, even if you aren't familiar with the show. All right, and with that, we have completely summed up this October 1st LEGO haul. Let me know down in the comments below which one of these sets is your favorite. Have you built any of them? Are you looking forward to getting any of them? And if so, let me know. Thank you all again so much for tuning into Duck Bricks, and stay tuned for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon. Thanks so much, and bye-bye for now.